Nicely into our next segment as well. The White House is expected to announce today more American boots on the ground in Iraq. The Pentagon is asking for 400 additional troops to expand the training of Iraqi forces in Anbar province, getting Iraqis into the fight against ISIS. Jason Beardsley is a former Master Sergeant with Army Special Operations and Joint Special Operations Command in Iraq, has been there many times, as we understand. Jason, what do you think of this news?
Well, listen, thank you for having me on, Jenna. First of all, this is a complex area. I've been on the ground in Anbar province, Tikrit, Ramadi, Fallujah. We've done this type of training for a while. We've worked with the Iraqis, so it's good. It's a good move in the right direction, one, to get more forces out there to try to energize this fight and to take back that terrain. But it will take a little bit more than that. It's a very complex problem, so holding ground is different than taking it.
In the best case scenario, Jason, how long would it take and how much money and energy would it take to get the Iraqi forces up to the level where they can not only take back cities like Ramadi, but hold ground?
Right. Well, that's one of the complex problems we've fought with and trained with our Iraqi partners for a long time. And what we haven't seen yet is a lot of their impetus to stay and hold ground, the conventional forces that come behind the attack of a city or, say, deflating ISIS in this case. So it does take a long time. By the way, you know, that's the high water mark of our training, is when we can get them not just to take ground, but to hold that ground. So it requires a strategy that's long-term focused. And although we've been there, we've been in this area, we need our focus to be a regional stability focus. So if we really think that holding this terrain is important, we need to make sure our strategy sort of matches that.
I want to get to that in a moment with you, the broader strategy, but you just said yourself that we've been here doing this, training Iraqis for a long time, and I'm wondering the wisdom of doing it once again when the end result we've seen over the past several years hasn't been what we'd like. We've seen the Iraqi forces not been able to succeed. So is it worth the time and money and energy and manpower, Jason?
You know, that again is a very challenging question. Our soldiers, our service members, our airmen, Marines, we're going to go out and do this job well every day. And anytime our commanders are tasked with this, it is a challenge. But we know if it's important, in other words, if it's important to hold that ground or to maintain a presence, then we want to be there side by side with our partners. Our peers right now are on the battlefield, and they are working right now on plans on how to hold this ground. Where are they going to focus our efforts? Is it worth it? That's a question for politicians. That's a question for, you know, the political establishment or leadership to actually set the tone. Our military commanders will follow, and we will execute with honor every day. This is the greatest country in the world, and we'll do the job if you give us the right time.
What about the soldiers that are going, Jason? How vulnerable do you think they are, being put in a situation where they're not necessarily on the offensive, but they're there in Anbar province training Iraqi soldiers who have been unpredictable at best?
Right. Our military commanders, again, are very smart, so they're going to protect those soldiers to the extent they can. But make no mistakes, this is a dangerous area. Getting our troops into harm's way, it's best to have clear objectives. When we have those clear objectives, our military forces will dominate the battlefield. When those objectives are a little bit ambiguous, in other words, if we're just there kind of training to train, that's a more tenuous position. So what we need to see is not just the initial policy to retake Mosul, to retake Ramadi, but a follow-on strategy. What does it mean to the larger picture? What does it mean to the government of Iraq? So, and as much as we fought, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to stop you there. That you're getting into the broader point, which is about the intention. Catherine Harris just talked a little bit about that when it comes to our foreign policy, and I'm curious your view on that as well, Jason. For the intention, what is it in your mind in Iraq? What should it be? And what else do we need besides the training?
Okay, so again, the intentions go to the global, what's our role in the region? How do we stabilize? Do we want to cut off the lines of communication between ISIS so that we can just hold ground and maintain an Iraqi persistent presence? That would be important. So that would be a qualified strategy. Let's get in there and make sure we hold terrain, separate their ability to kind of coalesce, and then force them to mass on our targets so we can target them. That's sort of it. It's holding that terrain. The broader policy is about the regional stability. How much do we have? What does the government of Iraq have at stake here? And how much are they willing to partner with us? We'll do this job every day the task is given to us, and we're the best to do it. But we need to make sure that those strategies, those objectives are clearly defined. That's what the military commanders require. It's much easier.
I know our viewers share your enthusiasm for the men and women who And certainly a lot of big questions still remain about the way forward. We look forward to having you back, Jason. Thank you so much for the time today.
Thank you, Jenna.